Everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Squared Slice, the wrestling show with the most relaxed schedule out there on the internet. I am your friendly neighborhood soda, joined as always by my co-pilot, my manager, Dustin Credible. Dustin Dubuque, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing splendid. How are you doing, Soda?
I'm doing amazing. You know, everything's going great right now, and
So,
yeah.
do you have both Hulkamania shirts? Do you have the red and yellow one like you have now, and then do you have the
No,
reverse?
no, I only got this one.
Okay, I
I
wasn't
only
sure
got the one.
if you did the dual or not.
No, but I've got the Mega Power shirt, which is the inverse.
That's true. Yep, that's right. You wore that. I was thinking that. That's why I'm like, God, did he wear the yellow one?
Yeah.
Because that's commitment.
If I'm going for a yellow Hogan shirt, it's a Hulk Rule shirt. That's the one I'm going to get yellow.
Yeah, the Hulk Rule shirt's so good.
Yeah,
Hulk,
it's so iconic.
It is. That Hulk shirt's great though.
This is for sure. Like, this is one of my favorite shirts to wear, even though the name Hulk Hogan has that bad stigma on him nowadays. It's Hulkamania, man.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, most people don't even know.
Yeah,
They just think of that.
Of course.
All you need. That's all you need, Soda.
Yeah, he's still one of them. Yeah, you say the name Hulk Hogan, and I guarantee you there are still kids today who know who he is.
Right. And yes, I totally agree. And it is going to be interesting because that's going on 35 years now. When
Well,
the
84, 40 years.
40 years, yeah. It's going to be interesting to think when he doesn't become canon anymore, like where he is not like such a noticeable character, because he still is.
Oh, for sure. He's still everywhere.
That he still looks the same.
Yeah, like it's true. He kind of does. He's got more tattoos, but
yeah, more tattoos. He's obviously older, but I mean he's kept the gimmick and the shtick alive for so long,
and he still sounds like Hulk Hogan.
And he still looks like Hulk Hogan. He's a big dude.
Oh, for sure. I mean, he's like what, 6'6", 6'7", something like
that. Yeah. He's a big guy. So yeah, it'll be interesting to think when he becomes not when he's out of the icon.
I don't think he's one. I don't think he'll ever will be.
I hope not, because he's such a character, right?
I can see like maybe in the pop culture eyes. Right. But in terms of the wrestling industry, no.
Yeah, never.
He's going to be remembered like Bruno was. He's going to be remembered like Antonio Rocca was. He's going to be remembered like, Gorgeous George, those guys. He's going to be remembered till the day the earth dies.
Totally. Yeah. What's going to be interesting is to think about who falls off, though. Like, Soda, in 30 years from now, when we've evolved as humans and me and you randomly find each other on the social media platform as old, grumpy old men, and I go, I used to do a show with that guy many, many years ago, and somebody teaches me how I can, teleport to Canada to see you. Yeah. It'll be interesting to think of, 30 years from now, the wrestlers of now in the last 20 years that were huge deals that add in 30 years become less huge deals.
Huh.
I never thought of it, but that's just kind of what you made me think about.
No, that's an interesting question.
Right. Like, I'm thinking of somebody like I'm trying to
Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, like a guy. Oh yeah, a guy like that's going to be practically obsolete.
Yeah, like I mean, he'll be remembered like. Trying to think of another example. Like the Iron Sheik will be remembered. Like not in terms of how he'll be remembered, but I mean in terms of like where his spot in was.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see that.
Drew probably would be in that same boat.
God, I doubt Drew's remembered after tomorrow. No offense to Drew, but I mean, if I went up to a couple casual fans that I know and ask him tell me something about Drew McIntyre besides that he's Scottish, I don't know if they could even come up with anything.
True. Well, the Claymore kick, maybe.
Yeah,
interesting question, because I mean, then you flip that over to AEW. Like, I can see Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks being remembered. Adam Cole, I don't know just yet personally. Obviously, Bryan Danielson, CM Punk, those guys.
Yeah, they already got it.
I don't know if Jungle Boy explodes. Maybe.
Mm-hmm. He's get better on the mic, but
for sure.
I do love Jungle Boy though. Very, very big fan.
Me too. Me too. And I
Jungle
love
Boy.
Tarzan Boys' entrance music. It's awesome.
It's pretty good. Is there anything we need to talk about that happened in the world of wrestling in the last 2 weeks? Is there anything that crosses your mind?
Not particularly when it comes to like in-ring product. Other maybe than we had like AEW give you some interesting matches on YouTube last week.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I did watch that. Did you watch the Suzuki Bryan match?
No, unfortunately, I haven't had time to watch really much wrestling the last week and a bit.
I understand. I just happened to be putting my son to sleep.
Yeah.
And he was having a night where it took longer. And so I kind of was sitting outside his door. And I just happened to flip my phone up at like 5 minutes, like so 8:35.
Yeah.
And people were like, "Oh, it's Suzuki and Bryan." And I'm like, "All right, I'll flip over and check it out." I will admit, we know Bryan's injury history here.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched that and I'm like, man, that is ballsy of a human to be who he is and like take some of the moves that he does.
Yeah, he's one of those guys like similar with Edge and whatnot, where you see them some of the moves and you're like, you get that, you flinch a little bit because you know their history, and it's like they're more susceptible than most people to re-injuring it. It's like,
Yeah, I felt that way in that match a couple times. Like I'm okay with Bryan, like the strikes that Suzuki's known for, the very hard hitting. I mean, you saw the one where he like does the big elbow. It was kind of all over Twitter where he just drops Bryan. And yes, of course, I'm sure it was all safe, but you're just like, what if Suzuki just hits too hard, or Bryan doesn't
take straight?
Right. It was tough, but it was fun though. It was fun. Yeah, I know the wrestling world was blown up about all that stuff, but the only thing I think I can think of, and we probably will talk about it next week, is the Saudi show as we record this tonight. Is tomorrow,
which is the first Saudi show I'm legit interested in watching.
The card is really good.
What happened? Like all the like the past couple were just basically throwaway cards, and then you get this one, and it's like there are a lot of major things happening on it.
There's legit storylines on it.
Yeah,
like legit ones.
Like you got Brock Lesnar beat Roman Reigns. Like that's a legit possibility. You've got Edge.
Okay. Before we go on, all right, here we go. I think this is the most interesting part of Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns. What's the finish, Soda? What is it? I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is.
Paul Heyman finally choosing sides.
Right. It has.
That's about it. That's the only thing I can predict.
So I got asked this by a friend of mine a couple days ago, and we were talking about that, and we were like having that discussion of like, I don't think I could tell you what the finish is, because I don't think they're gonna go like. I hope they don't. It's WWE, so you never know.
Yeah.
I hope they don't do lazy like Usos run in and all the same things they've done before, because this is different. But you know who I thought, like, this is if obviously fantasy booking here, Soda. Tell me if you think this is good.
Okay.
So I thought, like, what if Heyman doesn't choose either of them and chooses someone new, and the new person comes in, knocks out both of them, and then the Usos drag Roman over Brock, so Roman keeps the title. And then I was like, okay, well then who would work? Walter, Rex Steiner. I'm like,
already?
Guys,
you think
Rex Steiner? Why not? If anybody can,
you know what? That could be a fun throwback of sorts.
Shoot him to the moon.
Yep.
Or Walter, like you said, Walter
would be great.
That would be. That was the one I come up. I was like, what if he just completely says screw it to both of them?
Yeah,
because it is kind of, you're getting Brock and CM Punk again right now, right? Like we kind of already had this, maybe not as much, but so like I don't know. I just feel like the choosing sides thing isn't. I don't know. Is it enough? Maybe it is.
I don't know. But I mean, hey, yeah, and it's something that I never really thought of. But yeah, and then you've got other matches like Edge and Seth Rollins in a Hell in a Cell, which is how you use Hell in a Cell. Fuck the pay-per-view.
Did you see Hell in a Cell got canceled? They took it off the.
They did. I know TLC did.
No, they took off Hell in a Cell.
Thank you.
Yep, it's gone.
The only one I want to stay is Money in the Bank.
I think that's the general consensus.
Yeah.
That's the only one that is staying.
It's the
is
only one that
Money in the
makes
Bank.
sense.
It
But
does.
thank God they got rid of those because you watered down the stipulation. That's what they did.
I think, and from what the report was, is that WWE is looking to get rid of all them gimmick pay-per-views. It's
Good.
Like, thank you.
Good.
And when you do Elimination Chamber, do one. I don't care if it's the girls or the guys. Don't do two of them. It's just too much. It's too much.
Yeah, like I mean, you could, if you're gonna do the guys, you could have like say 3 from each brand going for it. Yeah, and then the winner gets to choose gets the other title shot that the Royal Rumble
Which
winner.
is why is that not the stipulation every year? That's
I
so
know.
much more fun. You win the Royal Rumble, you get to pick which one. You know, do you want A or B?
Yeah.
All right, now you get 3 versus 3, and then they get the secondary one.
Yeah,
That's a great stipulation.
Sense. Well, they've also in past years had announced to the winner, a Royal Rumble winner would be facing prior to the event. I remember that. So
right, that's true. You know, then the other match that Saudi, I think you were going to say, is probably the women's title match between.
Yeah, the Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, and Bianca Belair.
That's that sounds awesome, doesn't it?
Yeah, that does.
But so I'm excited. So we're gonna find out. We'll have to chit chat about that. What time is that at your place? Because isn't it like noon?
Well, I'm 2 hours ahead of you.
Okay, so it's like midday. Who can watch that?
Not us. But I can record it.
I know. I'm gonna try if I can. I'm gonna try to see if I can somehow like keep track of when maybe I can get a hold of one match if I can be in my office.
I can get the results and all that stuff, but luckily, like the way it's designed in Canada, the WWE Network is through our cable provider, so I actually have a channel. That's what they're playing. Like when you log on, so when you log on the network and just like the video's playing, that's what's playing on the TV as well.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you just get the scheduled content, or
you get scheduled content, and it's like every month. Like say for example, Halloween Havoc coming up. They air old Halloween Havocs. They do that every month for pay-per-views that have come out in that month. So I've got a bunch of stuff on my DVR, but it's perfect because if I, for whatever reason, can't watch it, I just record it.
Right. Well, as a WCW guy, are you pumped for the Halloween Havoc NXT?
Oh God, yeah, I love that it's an NXT. I love that it's an NXT concept.
It is, and it works because it's fun.
Yeah, and it's awesome to see that set brought back. I love that set.
Nobody gives credit to WCW pay-per-view sets.
Well, for sure,
they were so goofy fun.
Oh yeah, Bash at the Beach had the beach setting.
I love Bash at the Beach. Just like the fact that they put sand in there, like as a legit beach.
And the one time they actually did it on the beach.
Yes, it's so cool. And yeah, I agree. Halloween Havoc is going to be fun. I'm also excited for that.
Yeah, but that's not why we're here. No, basically a couple weeks ago we had the WWE draft. Yeah, pretty much. But you know what? That's what we do. We know our wrestling and it works. No, a couple weeks ago we had the latest WWE draft, which takes into effect basically on Friday after the Saudi show.
Yeah, what did you think of that? I wanted to ask you that first. What did you think of them doing a draft and then like having to have like a grace period? Did that matter to you?
No freaking sense.
I know,
like literally none.
I know. Very weird. Very odd. Like you couldn't have waited. I don't know.
Apparently not.
Very weird.
Yeah,
because now I still barely know who's on what show.
Right. The one thing I will give them, I like how they did it, where they had half the pool available Friday, half the pool available Monday. I liked that.
Yeah, I also like how they didn't. They did it like, say me and you each had a roster that we had for multiple years, and then we were like, well, let's do a draft. We would probably draft 70% of who we already had, right?
Oh, probably, yeah.
And that's kind of what they did. They didn't change a bunch of people.
No,
some of the undercards, sure, because that doesn't truly matter. But like the main people, not many switched. Like Edge went to Raw. Like I think that was the biggest.
That
and then
you got Becky going to Raw, and Bianca going to Raw.
Right.
Charlotte going to SmackDown.
Drew I guess the girls went to swap.
The Mysterio's going to Raw.
The
New Day reunited for like what, half an hour before Woods and Kofi got drafted to Raw to SmackDown. You're like, come on.
I know. Just stop them then. Like,
Yeah.
if you're gonna keep splitting them up, just kill the gimmick.
But
Get rid of
here's the
it.
thing. It's got to play into a storyline somehow because they'd be crazy not to go New Day Bloodline at Survivor Series.
Right, that's true. Yeah. Well, yeah, and if you're gonna do it, you gotta do it
Right.
at God. What a good match if you somehow could get there. I don't know how you do it, but at WrestleMania, if Big E still has the title, you do Big E versus Kofi versus Xavier. Like, you do a big triple, like, why not? Something. And they could even split up amicably. You don't have to have a heel turn here. You just be like, this is it. This is the end of the New Day. Let's go out with a bang.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yes, keep going. Draft.
Yeah. So basically, we're actually going to be looking back at the very first WWE draft, which is part of the reason why I wore the Hulkamania t-shirt, because Hulk Hogan was in this draft in 2002. Hollywood Hulk Hogan with Voodoo Child by Hendrix playing him in the ring.
And then the boas were just like,
fuck yeah,
just huge. I used to love that part of that era of Hogan. You couldn't even see his head. These huge yellow and
it was like a fucking lion with his mane.
God, it was so cool. I know we've talked about it before, but that era Hogan
was fun.
It was so fun. We bring it up all the time. So good.
Yeah, it was unexpected. It was one of the best unexpected things to ever happen.
I agree.
So yeah, in 2002, basically we were a year away from a year out from when WWE bought WCW. So basically they didn't really have competition. Like TNA wasn't around back then. AEW for sure as hell wasn't around back then. Yeah, I can't even think of a Ring of Honor maybe. Like I don't know what their history is, but
yeah, you're lucky.
Basically, there was nothing.
There was nothing.
So what did they do? They had to create their own competition. So they came up with a bright idea, which I will admit at that time was awesome. Like the first 2 years, now it's just like, why bother? They're not like they stay on the same show anyways.
I know it doesn't. It's just a weird commitment. I mean, do you remember like when they came up with the idea? I know we were both younger, but do you remember like the draft concept when they were coming up with it?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and I do remember how it went off, and it's kind of like similar to how they've done it. Still do it. Like right now they're doing like 4 picks at a time, but back then it was like they each came out, did a pick, and then left, came back to the pick, and
right.
Yeah, I remember all that, and I remember the storylines going into it because it was Ric Flair who was the part owner and Vince McMahon, so he got Raw. Vince McMahon got SmackDown. Oh yeah, I remember all that.
Yeah, and Rick and Vince is that little time of Rick versus Vince as the GMs.
Yeah,
another underrated just thing because this is the weird time, right? This little like post WCW ECW buy. They still have Rock. They still have Austin.
It was the transition period, is what it was.
It was 2002 is an odd year.
Yeah,
because this is when they're transitioning into Eddie, Benoit, Lesnar, but they still had the guys.
The old guard, yeah.
The old guard. And then
this is when Austin took his ball and went home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting, and they still, and then like we said, the Hogan piece. Like it's an interesting little pocket of WWE.
Let's not forget the NWO as well at that time too. That failed experiment.
It did not work.
Yeah. So, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to see how well you remember this.
Oh, no. Okay, this is going to be fun.
Okay, so we're going to go by each pick. So SmackDown started first. So who do you think was chosen first overall on SmackDown?
I think the easy guess is The Rock.
Correct. It was The Rock. I mean, duh.
Because it's SmackDown. It only made sense. And it's
okay, so who was the first pick for Raw?
Oh, my God. Okay, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if there's one thing I remember is, didn't Triple H, he was the champ, right?
Yeah.
Because he was unable to be drafted.
Correct.
Because that was the thing, because this is back when they were still, and they had one belt, and they had to defend it on both shows.
Yeah, so he would have been...
I don't know why I remember that, but I'm pretty sure that's the thing.
Yeah, because he just won the... Yeah, this is right before Backlash when Hogan went for the...
Right.
I think it's before Backlash.
Yeah. So Triple H isn't in it.
No.
I want to say Austin, but is he wrestling right now, or is he injured at the
He is not in this draft.
All right, then I'm gonna assume that's why. Who would be in 2002? The Undertaker?
Correct, The Undertaker.
Yes, look at that. 2 for 2. Now I'm done because I'm gonna never get into the rest of these.
Yeah, after this it's gonna get interesting. So okay.
So who would I think? No, hang on. Let me see if I can guess. Maybe if I can get one of the next two.
Okay, so you've got Smackdown, who's our number 2?
Oh my god. Kane?
No.
Damn it.
Kurt Angle.
Kurt Angle's a good choice. That makes sense. And then
for Raw
2002. RVD?
No, the NWO.
Oh my god.
Kevin Nash, X-Pac, and Scott Hall. They went high.
That is interesting that they went that high. And X-Pac was, I forgot that he was part of that for 14 seconds.
He came in when Hogan got booted out.
That's right. See, that's the thing, is that little reincarnation was so minuscule and so forgetful.
Well, yeah, and then Big Show was part of it, brought in, which was it made sense of the giant Big Show, not so much. And then you had the weird one of Booker T for like a week, and Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, then HBK came in. Oh, and that HBK, that was bad.
Yeah.
Man, is that just a completely forgetful.
Weird to see him in an NWO shirt, that guy.
It was weird. And that was when he had the little bob cut too. It was bad. It was so bad.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, let's go for a little bit more of these. This is interesting.
So yeah, you want to keep guessing or no?
No, because I won't get them. Chris Jericho's probably one of them.
So next up, you have first SmackDown, Chris Benoit, who was drafted while he was out with his neck injury, and then when he returned on the Raw brand instead.
Interesting. And why? And just because?
I can't remember the reason. I know Bruce Pritchard had mentioned it on his podcast. I can't remember the reason, but I know within a couple of months he was back on SmackDown and was part of the SmackDown 6.
Right. Yeah, because I was just going to say he was part of the SmackDown crew that stayed there and made it a big deal.
Yeah. And then next up we had Kane.
Yeah, I was.
This is back when Kane was still like one of the best.
Yes. And again, very young at the time. I mean, he was only 4 years in. Because he only started in 98.
4.5 years, a little late 97, but wow, fuck, that's hard to think. Hard to think.
I know, because you just think of Kane now, and you think of, holy God, this guy's been here forever. He never ends.
He's the mayor now, and it's like, this era of Kane, like this 2002 all the way to until he put the mask back on. I want to say is my favorite version of Kane. Yeah. I love it. Like specifically, it's unmasking of Kane, that era where he was being led to the ring and he was playing the psychotic Kane. That's my favorite Kane.
It's those couple of years where he was really psychotic Kane.
Yeah,
were so good, and the leading up to the unmasking was great when him and RVD were that tag team.
Mm-hmm.
That was super fun, and RVD was a perfect guy to do like the whole shtick with because Kane could beat him up like crazy, which was good. Yeah. That was fun and good because that whole part of Kane was rough. That like stapler mask and stuff, stapled mask together and stuff was awkward.
Yeah, it's not my favorite mask.
No.
So next up, we had SmackDown choosing with their number 4 pick, the aforementioned Hulk Hogan.
Isn't that funny that Hulk Hogan was drafted after 2 picks after X-Pac and the NWO? What?
Well, yeah. When there's no that shouldn't happen in any reality.
No, that's ridiculous. But so far making sense.
Yeah, and so next up you had Rob Van Dam being chosen as number 4 for Raw, where he was the Intercontinental Champion going in, and it made the title exclusive to Raw, which then necessitated the creation of the United States Championship.
That's right. I was going to say that's the reason why I put RVD high, because I remember like 4 things about this show.
Yeah.
And RVD being the Intercontinental Champion, being drafted to Raw was like a thing I do remember as like an important thing about the show.
But it's funny as I always remember him as on SmackDown.
Really? I don't know why. I always think of him on Raw. I don't know.
Next up. That's why we're getting older. We're getting older. No, next up we have SmackDown drafting Billy and Chuck, who were the WWF Tag Team Champions at the time, making the title exclusive to SmackDown, thus necessitating the World Tag Team Championship.
That's right. And this is, this is the biggest issue that we still have today, right?
Yep.
Too many titles.
It's fine with the United States and the Intercontinental, but you do not need 2 tag team titles at all.
And what do you think? Do you think they need 2 heavyweight titles, or do you think it should just be 1?
In a perfect world, I'd rather have it 1 personally.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
But
I mean,
actually, if I'm being honest, a 1 title system worked better when it was every month was a different show's pay-per-view.
Right.
Yeah. Because now both rosters wrestle on the same pay-per-view, so it'd be like, okay, who's getting the champ this time?
Right. But could you no, that's true. That makes a good point. The only downfall was them split brand pay-per-views after a couple of years got to be rough.
Yeah, and even at the beginning, some of them weren't the best either.
Well, the rosters just weren't. There wasn't enough depth there. Yeah, like the first 8 names you named are like, okay, this is great stuff.
Yeah.
But to fill a show with 8 matches, and no offense to Billy and Chuck,
fun tag team, but no.
Fun tag team, but no. And it's, I don't know, man. The 2 title thing is an interesting concept. Because even now, I mean, everybody looks at Roman as the better champ. And
it's because I don't know why the WWE hates their own title that's named after them, but
they love their Universal title.
Well, yeah, and it was the same with the World Heavyweight title at one point as well. Like, those were the ones that they were pushing, and it just so happens that Universal Championship is the one that Roman Reigns, the hottest heel in the business, is wearing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, ever since they created that Universal title, man,
it became number 1 for whatever reason.
I don't know either.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's just weird that the WWE title is the afterthought. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Soda, it's because you're part of the universe. You're part of the WWE universe.
Yeah, I guess. Once I'm in. Okay. So next up for Raw with their 5th pick was Booker T.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds right.
Yeah, but that's another one though. When I think of him during this brand split era, it's on SmackDown.
It's on SmackDown, right?
Yeah.
Well, because there was, and I know we'll probably get to this. Wasn't there a draft like
every year?
Was it every year?
I think it was every year. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was gonna say that's why this got all mixed up rather quickly.
Yeah. No, they did it like it seemed like every year. I might be mistaken.
For a few years, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So next up, SmackDown with their number 6 chose pretty much a SmackDown mainstay, Edge.
Yep.
Yep.
And that was a good time for Edge.
Oh, for sure. Like, that was a great time because he was one of the members of the SmackDown 6.
Mm-hmm. Well, and this is... Sorry, no, you go.
No, you started. You go ahead.
Oh, I was just thinking this is positives of the brand split, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Edge is one of the positives that came out of it. Edge was a higher mid-card guy. Who got to go to SmackDown and be one of the guys when you take out the crowd.
It was great that like Heyman had confidence in him, and like we've mentioned them before, the SmackDown 6, but what a 6 they were. You had Chris Benoit, Kurt Angle, Rey Mysterio, Edge, Eddie Guerrero, and Chavo Guerrero.
Chavo, that's right.
Like that's a fucking lineup.
It was, and it's amazing that guys like that who are all, smaller, quote unquote, and kind of similar, right? Wrestle kind of the same, kind of had their own little clique, were the ones able to do that for a couple years. And we always say break the mold of WWE, but they kind of were.
Oh, for sure. Like they consistently had the best matches on every card.
Right. Yeah, well, and that was when Taker was there too, so it kind of was, because Taker would always jump because he's the Undertaker, so they jumped him everywhere. But I always imagine Taker in there too as like the one guy that was like the legend, the big legend is there.
Yeah, because I vividly remember his Brock Lesnar feud from that time.
Yep, and I remember the Edge feud, and the 2 Edge feuds.
Yeah,
were really good. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So next, and then with their number 6 pick, Raw chose The Big Show.
Yeah. Okay. Big Show.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Number 7 for SmackDown was Rikishi.
Is this bad guy Rikishi or is this still good guy
This is
Rikishi?
like 2 years after Bad Guy Rikishi.
Jesus, bad guy Rikishi was in 2000 already.
Yeah, that was late
Gross.
2000 because
God,
it was
it was
for
that early.
what was it Unforgiven 2000 was when they had all when Austin came back.
That's right, because they planted the seeds for the turn at the
Yeah,
Royal Rumble that year.
yeah.
That's
And
right.
then yeah, so that happened. The Rikishi thing went to shit, and then for Survivor Series they said, "Oh, Triple H was the real mastermind,"
That's
which
right.
should have just been what it
Yeah.
was off the bat.
Yeah, yeah. God, Rikishi in 2002. I should go back and rewatch what he was doing, if he was just doing the same
Um,
old shtick or not.
yeah, oh for sure. His shtick never changed unless he was that heel character.
Yeah.
I know he should have not too far removed from a tag team title run with Scotty 2 Hotty, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Yeah. And then so after that, now this was surprising at the time. I remember being shocked when this
I know
happened.
what you're going to say, because this is the one thing I always remember.
Raw, with their 7th pick, chose Bubba Ray Dudley, thus splitting up the Dudley boys.
Yep. And, which I'm sure you know, you've heard Bubba talk about it because you're a Busted Open guy.
Yeah.
That was they had no idea.
Nope. They
They
not.
did that legit on them.
Yeah,
Like,
and in one of the recent episodes where they were again talking about it might be the same one, but Bubba said that like he told Vince flat out like this is a bad idea. Vince is like, oh no, we want to try this, blah blah. And then come that November, and Bubba said, I walked him out of Madison Square Garden. Vince waved him over and said, we're putting you and Devon back together tonight. Which he said was Vince's way of saying you were right.
You were right. Vince isn't going to, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Of all the, there's very few tag teams out there that just are so synonymous together.
Mm-hmm.
That you and I have had this discussion before, where there's an A player and a B player on most tag teams.
Yeah.
Like Heart Foundation. Brett went on to be Brett, and Jim was Jim the Evil Neidhart. We all like him,
Jim
but
was
he
who?
was exactly.
Yeah.
But Bubba and Devon, I don't know what it was about him, because they split him up a few times. And it wasn't necessarily being split up; it's the fact that one.
It only happened the one time in WWE.
But I'm also thinking like TNA.
Yeah, TNA, and then we got like the great Bully Ray stuff. Like,
right, you got the Bully
honestly,
Ray stuff.
Bully Ray is the breakout of that.
Right. Oh, totally. And also Devon booked it for a while, and
yeah,
but it's just interesting. But even still, you don't think of. I don't even almost ever think of Bully Ray. I still think of Bubba and Devon.
For sure.
Like, it never comes into my head.
Yeah, whenever I think about him wrestling, it's Bubba Ray Dudley. It'll always be Bubba Ray Dudley. The thing that shocked me the most was him and Devon don't really talk anymore.
Yeah, that was an interesting. I don't listen to Busted Open a lot, but I listened to that part of the interview.
I was like, wow.
I thought, you know what though? It kind of comes like that thing where, I don't know, you spend so much time together.
That's not what I heard, though. I heard it was because Bubba, like, they offered them each contracts after that year. Bubba didn't want to do it. Devon did, I heard that's what it was.
Yep. That's, yeah. Well, they say, but he says in there that they're amicable and they still chat.
Oh, yeah, of course.
They'll always have to.
Back, yeah.
Right, and like they run that wrestling school together. And
well, yeah, and he said even then, like, he runs his, Devon runs his.
Yeah. Is Devon, is he still backstage?
Yeah.
He's still back there, right? I wasn't sure if he was in that big purge during the pandemic. That's
and speaking of Devon Dudley, he was the first number 8 pick for SmackDown. And the only good thing to come out of this was Batista.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the Deacon gimmick was
bad, but you remember him.
Well, again, because you got Batista out of it.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah. You remember Batista, like this big behemoth in a sleeveless jacket. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, God, he was huge. I remember seeing him, thinking he was the biggest guy ever.
Yo, yeah, and then next up, we have one of the biggest guys ever. This is probably the only time you'll ever see him this far down on the list. Raw chose Brock Lesnar with their number 8 pick.
That makes sense. It's 2002. He couldn't have only been wrestling.
He had just entered the company. Like,
he had He'd have just got there.
Yeah, because he debuted the night after Mania.
And when was this? When was the draft?
Just a couple weeks later.
Okay, so yeah, okay, that's interesting. But that just
Yeah,
doesn't that just tell you? That's why earlier in the show, I know we were like kind of like Rex Steiner already. Look at that,
that's a fair point. That's a fair
you know.
point. And then like, he was drafted to Raw, but then come that I think October, he became exclusive. Or no, that was that September because I remember it was like September 22nd or something like that. That September he became exclusive to SmackDown, where the WWE Championship ended up staying, and then you got Raw getting the World Heavyweight Championship with Triple H having it given to him.
Yep, and because again, Brock's another guy I think of on SmackDown.
Oh, for sure, synonymous with SmackDown from that era.
Yeah.
Number 9 pick for SmackDown was Mark Henry.
Poor Mark. Just
at that time. Oh God, yeah.
Just not just.
He's one, but yeah, I'm not gonna lie. He's one of my favorite people on Busted Open. He's a lovable guy.
He outside of wrestling, I really like Mark Henry.
Yeah,
I think he's a cool dude.
Yeah, charismatic as fuck.
but I never ever in his 20-year career, I don't think ever cared to about almost anything.
The only time I could say where I was like really into it was when he did the retirement fake out.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
I'll give it that. But again, so short-lived.
Yeah, of course.
But
still worthy of a Hall of Fame career. Like the dude did a lot.
Oh, hey man, if you can stick it out in WWF for 20 years, that's I don't know what else you need.
So then after that, you had Raw selecting William Regal, who was the European champion, making the title exclusive to Raw.
No.
Best European champion of all time?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anybody else that who else comes to mind for you?
Bulldog, because was the first.
I was just going to say Bulldog's an easy one. Who else around that
D'Lo
time?
Brown.
D'Lo's a great one.
D'Lo's a good one.
Yes, I loved that D'Lo run when he with the chest protector.
Yep.
That was the most padded chest protector I've ever seen, and they made it seem like it was this weapon.
Yeah,
I'm like, it's like a catcher's chest protector. So funny though.
With sparkles.
I do love D'Lo though.
Oh, for sure. D'Lo is underrated.
He was so underrated.
For SmackDown's number 10 pick, they chose the WWF Hardcore Champion,
Maven. I remember that.
Yep.
Remember Maven?
I do. I remember when he eliminated the Undertaker and the Undertaker kicked his ass.
Yeah. His one thing.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch Tough Enough that first season? Did you
No,
watch
I never watched Tough Enough. I've outside of a few exceptions, I've never really been into reality TV.
Oh my God. I was because I'd have been 11, 12.
I didn't have MTV also. We didn't have it up here at the time.
See, I had MTV and I remember watching the series as it was going. And I'm not going to lie to you, everyone wanted Maven to win that show.
Really?
I remember it. I remember watching it with my mom. I remember that being a thing because my mom is a big reality TV person. So she'd watch it just because it's reality TV.
Yeah.
And everybody was into Maven. And Josh Matthews, that was the other one. But
yeah, that's right. He was also in the first one.
Yeah, he took third. And then Nowitzki took second. Remember?
Took second.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the final three. I don't know if there was anybody else important off that list, but I know those were the three.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so either. Ugh.
No. Yeah.
And then this was the fun one with their number 10 pick. Raw chose with Lita, the first woman chosen in the draft.
Nice.
Yeah.
Then okay, keep going because I'm interested.
You had Billy Kidman and Billy Kidman to SmackDown and Bradshaw to Raw at number 11. Tajiri, who was the Cruiserweight champion, went to SmackDown, and Steven Richards went to Raw.
So
now this.
Okay, keep going.
I would say this one in today would never happen. Chris Jericho goes to SmackDown at number 13, and Matt Hardy would go at 13. Yeah. And this is a man who just lost the title, too.
Behind Billy Kidman and Tajiri.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And Matt Hardy was number 13.
Oh, my gosh. That is funny. You kind of... Oh, you forget how bad they buried Jericho after that.
Yeah, right? Like, the pay-per-view after, he wasn't even booked.
I know. To be the champion and then to not be booked.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And to be put over as hard as he did. To beat Rock and Austin and then be the champ
Yeah.
for 14
It,
seconds.
it makes no sense.
It's
No
so
sense.
it's so interesting. Like the
Yeah.
philosophy there is so interesting. Man, that's awesome.
So at number 14, SmackDown chose Ivory and Raw chose Raven. Yes, Raven was around at that time.
People forget Raven was there until like 2005 or something. Like
Yeah,
he's
he
one of
was
them
there
guys that was
years,
just
yeah.
that was just there
Yeah.
a lot for a long time.
Quote the Raven Nevermore. That was a great gimmick. He's in
It's
ECW.
so good. It was
Yeah.
so good. And I liked him in WCW too. I love the
Me
flock.
too. Oh, that was my first exposure to Raven was WCW.
Yeah, the flock was super cool.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I still remember the night Kidman turned on them. Great stuff.
It was so good.
Yeah. At number 15, SmackDown chose Albert and Raw chose Jeff Hardy. So the Team Extreme was kept reunited. I don't know why they didn't draft them all as one, but
I know. I love the way that you said that they kept. I mean, I understand Bailey and Chuck were the tag champs, and then they kept NWO, and then they just split other guys.
Yeah,
doesn't make any sense.
Well,
Albert, by the way,
by this point, you already had the Dudley Boys split, so maybe it was done just to see doubt into the audience's mind.
Yeah, maybe to stop people from thinking that they're just going to do it to everyone.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
At number 16, SmackDown chose the Hurricane, and Raw chose Mr. Perfect.
Mm-hmm. That was the little return right there.
That ended because of the plane ride from hell.
Yep. Oh gosh, he was.
He still looked great.
He looked so good when he returned at that Royal Rumble.
Oh God, yeah.
He was in such good shape.
Yeah.
And he made it to the final. They put him in the final 4 of that Rumble.
And that was the highlight of his run.
It was it. It was his debut and the fact that he got to like actually shine in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And then nobody remembers anything else about it. But
I remember he was in the pre-show for Mania.
Was he really?
Yeah.
What was his pre-show against?
I don't remember. I just remember him being on there. I'm like, this is the guy. I think he was the only one on the card to actually have wrestled in. No, Hogan. Like say who wrestled at 6.
Interesting. Yeah, that Perfect run. Well, and then you know all the stuff comes out that Perfect plane ride from hell and Perfect wasn't.
Yeah, and then he died later that year.
He did. He was in a bad way apparently during that.
I because at this time I wasn't able to watch the pay-per-view, so I would rely on like what on Raw the next night. And when they showed Perfect debuting, as a huge fan of that era, I popped huge when Perfect returned.
Right. So did I. That Royal Rumble. We'll talk Royal Rumbles at some point.
That's one of the
has like 4 or 5 good returns in it.
At that beginning, I'd say from 2000 to 2006.
Yeah,
were good Rumbles.
There's a lot of good ones in there. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely be unpacking that probably come January.
Oh yeah, we'll have a whole month of Rumble.
Oh God, yeah. So at number 17, you had SmackDown choosing Al Snow, and 17 choosing Raw choosing Spike Dudley.
Big Spike Dudley guy. So.
Oh God, me too. Spike Dudley was awesome. But I will say, awesome. I liked him as the boss, Spike Dudley.
So did I.
It was great.
I thought Spike always did well with whatever he did.
Oh God, yeah.
He's an underrated guy. Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
He is a guy like that is completely lost, who will be lost, already is, in the annals of the history of like wrestling.
Yeah. Well, with the things like the WWE Network, I don't think he'll be as forgotten, but yeah, unfortunately he'll be one that's going to get lost in the shuffle. But you usually, if you were around during that time, you remember a Spike Dudley match because he always did something crazy.
My God, that guy! I know guys today get shit on a lot about what they do.
Yeah.
Again, being a big ECW guy, I watched Spike Dudley get killed so many times in ECW. It's insane that he's walking at all. I mean, Mike Awesome used to throw him around like across the ring.
Yeah. And who was it? Was it Bam Bam that threw him into the crowd?
Bam Bam threw him into the crowd, and then they body surfed him.
Him.
Like that guy just, oh my God. And then, like you said, that some of the WWE stuff was just freaking awesome.
Yeah. Especially when he was involved with his brothers.
Yep. Oh, God. Yep, but I agree with you. One of them guys that'll just unsung.
Yep. And then, okay, for number 18, SmackDown chose Lance Storm, who all he was missing was charisma, and he would have been a star.
Yeah, it goes back to what you said about Mark Henry, how you think he's so funny. I'm like, well, it didn't show on TV.
Right, and same with Lance Storm. Lance Storm is one of the best wrestlers I've ever seen in the ring, but outside of the ring, it's like, yeesh.
I mean, I like Lance, and I think he's really interesting. But even like on his podcast and stuff, he's just some people are just boring. It's not a knock on him.
I don't think he's boring. I think he's just got a dry wit that not everybody gets.
He's pretty dry.
Oh yeah, I follow him on Twitter, and he's one of my favorite follows. If I'm being 100% honest,
he's good on Twitter.
Yeah,
if you're on Twitter, follow Lance Storm
because he'll respond to you, and like as a Canadian, it's fun to see like somebody like that talk about like Tim Hortons and like Canadian stuff. It's awesome. He loves his Tim Hortons.
I don't know what that is, but we're gonna go with it.
Tim Hortons is our version of Dunkin' Donuts. To kind of compare it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so with their 18 pick, Raw chose D'Lo Brown, who we talked about earlier. SmackDown at 19 chose DDP, and Raw chose Sean Stasiak.
Oof, we're getting in the weeds here.
Yeah, because at number 20, SmackDown chose Tori Wilson, and Raw chose Terry.
Ugh, Terry.
Can't believe they went over Trish Stratus.
Yeah, why is Trish hasn't been drafted yet?
Nope.
Is she coming up on the list?
She is, yeah, pretty quickly here.
Oh my God.
And then for number 21, SmackDown chose Scotty 2 Hotty, and Raw chose Jacqueline.
Oh, okay.
At 22, SmackDown chose Stacy Keibler, and Raw chose Goldust.
Interesting. Stacy Keibler's barely a wrestler.
I know.
Interesting. And Trish Stratus still not drafted.
At number 23, SmackDown chose Christian, and Raw chose Trish Stratus.
Christian all the way at 23 still.
I know, right?
Wow.
It's amazing. You look at things like that, and then you hear like people who've worked with him for years saying he's one of the best minds to ever be in the ring. It's like, why didn't he do better in WWE?
Well, it took a while, right?
Oh, I mean, totally. It took a while, and it took Edge having to retire.
Truly,
for him to get his world titles.
Again, it's tough to pass up being the B player on the tag team stigma.
He's he's the best he's the best B player on a tag team
over Matt Hardy.
Yeah,
I agree with you on that.
Matt Hardy, like obviously the woke broken Matt Hardy stuff, all that great, but Christian has won titles in Impact in essentially 2 different decades. He's held the world title in WWE, like multiple time tag team champion. I think he's the better. It's him and then Matt Hardy when it comes from WWE.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably about right.
Yeah.
Not Marty Jannetty?
Sorry?
Not Marty Jannetty?
No, God no. His only claim to fame is he's the whole phenomena is named after him. That's about it.
That's right.
And in all honesty, like Jannetty in his heyday was a great worker. Like a great worker.
People get down on Jannetty a little too hard sometimes. Because he was the first guy to be known
for sure
as like the B player. Like it was the first time that they ever just said it out loud.
That's why they called it. That's why they call them the Marty Jannetty of the group, right?
Yep. Who's the Marty?
Yeah, because he was just as good as Shawn Michaels, but Shawn Michaels was better.
Better, just a little bit better at everything.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know.
So next up at 24, SmackDown chose Test, and Raw chose Justin Credible.
Yep. Right there.
Couldn't get into Justin Credible, but granted, again, I didn't watch WCW at that time, so
there's Justin Credible again. As an ECW guy, I didn't get him either because there's no real gimmick there. Like his name's his gimmick, but he's not like with the name Justin Credible. Wouldn't you think you'd like kind of be like Mr. Perfect, like this? But he just wore a black T-shirt and shorts, and then hit people with kendo sticks, and that was about it.
It was when I found out that he was Aldo Montoya, my mind exploded.
Yeah, I
Like,
loved
really,
Oliver
that
Montoya when I was a
Portuguese
kid.
Man of War?
What are you talking about? The Portuguese Man of War wouldn't get over as a main event star?
God, no. With a jockstrap on his face?
With a
No.
jockstrap on his face.
What was with
I
them and
know.
the weird. Anyways,
Yeah.
we are coming up to the end of the draft. So at 25, SmackDown chose Farouk and Raw chose the Big Boss Man.
Underrated little run from like 98 or 99 to about 2002 with the Big Boss
Farouk.
Man. I liked this. Did you not like this?
I don't remember this. That's the thing. Like, I remember him more when he came back.
I mean, he was still doing the shtick, wasn't he? I'm pretty sure he did the
Oh,
black.
yeah, no, he was still doing it, but it's like I don't remember. Unfortunately, don't remember anything from him from like 2002, 2001. Like, of course, I remember when he came into the corporation because that's awesome.
That
But
was
it's
awesome.
the end of his career. I don't really remember it.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you what he did, but I just remember that was cool.
Like, the last thing I could tell you that I really remember was his team with Bull Buchanan.
Oh my God, that's right.
That's like the last truly significant thing of his career that I can remember.
Oh my God, that's right. He teamed with Bull Buchanan.
Yeah,
I didn't even
2000,
remember.
yeah.
I didn't even remember that.
Yeah, Bull Buchanan's son is now wrestling in NXT 2.0.
Yeah, it's good. He's good too.
Yeah, the second generation talent that they've got going on NXT 2.0, they're really good.
It is interesting the second, third generation thing in wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is interesting. Like, that's not how it works. Like,
Nope.
you don't just get wrestling DNA when you are born.
No, but I mean, you generally have that advantage though, where you can study from an early age with your.
Totally.
Yeah.
But you still have to look the part. And,
for sure.
Be the part. And somehow all these guys, yeah, it's interesting. All right, we got a couple left because this is getting fun. I love these.
Yeah.
Things.
So next up, we have at 26, the ECW round, SmackDown choosing Taz and Raw choosing Tommy Dreamer.
Okay, that makes sense. ECW round, is that literally what it was? Oh, did you just make that up?
Well, I just made that up because they're both 26. And then there's this at 27. SmackDown chose Hardcore Holly, Raw chose Crash Holly. Holly round.
Well,
28, SmackDown chose Val Venus, Raw chose Mighty Molly. And this is weird. There's only one pick at number 29. SmackDown chose Perry Saturn. I don't know why Raw didn't have a pick.
Weird.
Oh, and so 21 through 57. So basically, Scotty T. Hottie down.
Was this what they did on WWE? Did they do it on WWE.com?
Down was all on the website.
I remember that because I remember being so into this. I was on WWE.com that night.
Oh, really?
Waiting for because again, the internet was so slow.
Yeah,
you were watching a video. It was just randomly dropping pictures onto the website for every minute, so you'd have to refresh and wait, and then by then 3 picks would already be done because it took so long.
Oh God, the kids do not know the pain that we had.
I know.
Jesus.
You don't know. But yeah, I remember that. I remember jumping right onto my WWE.com.
Yeah. So there were several people who were left exempt from this draft. Triple H, who was the undisputed champion and could appear in either show. After losing the title, he joined SmackDown. Sorry. Then he went to Raw not too long later. Jazz, who is the women's champion, when she lost, she went to Raw. Chris Jericho was in a match for the Undisputed Championship that night and went to SmackDown after he had lost, which is weird because he got drafted. Oh, wait, no, he got drafted in the lottery. Anyways, Stephanie McMahon. Yeah. And then Stone Cold Steve Austin, who ended up going to Raw.
And he was, does it say quick on your thing why he was not?
Yeah, he was just considered a free agent in the draft by Linda McMahon.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Just because you brought that up, since we've just kind of put a bow on this, what do you think of Brock Lesnar being the free agent that can go wherever he wants? Do you think that's...
You know what? It makes sense because it's Brock Lesnar. In reality, Brock Lesnar can do whatever the hell Brock Lesnar wants. Right. No, it just makes sense. It makes sense for him to be an attraction, and that's the best way for WWE to do it, is to make him a free agent.
Right. because we want him to have matches that
against everybody.
against everyone. We want him to be like whenever he wants to show up on Raw and wrestle Edge. I want to see Brock Lesnar versus Edge.
That would be dope.
That sounds so fun.
Yeah.
Give me that. And Bobby Lashley's another one we want.
Oh, of course.
We want
Big
the
E would be
Walter
fun.
match.
Big E
would be fun. There's so many guys that would just be so fun.
So what do you think of this face Brock Lesnar? I personally love it. I think it's great.
I think one of the first things we ever talked about was how I wanted babyface Brock.
Yep.
And how if he didn't come back this time babyface, it would be completely pointless because he was just a heel for 9 years. We got it. Because that promo, I know we're finishing up here, but that promo on SmackDown was so fun.
Which one?
The one where Roman goes, why don't you just sign the damn contract, farmer? And then he goes, well, I did read over the contract already with my advocate Paul Heyman this morning. I'm like, yeah, so
what
good.
Happened to Brock? Because remember when he came back, he couldn't speak for shit. That's why Heyman ended up with him. Is it because they're just letting him be himself?
I think so. Well,
and that's what it feels like.
Who said it? I think it might have been Corny last week. He goes, Brock can talk, but you just gotta keep it short, keep it sweet. And they did it.
Yep.
Give him a couple lines. You don't need Brock cutting a 5-minute long promo.
I really liked his backstage promo that he did on the night of the draft.
Yeah.
That was great where he winks at the camera
yeah. He should be like the guy who's so big and so badass that he can literally have fun because he can beat up everyone.
And that's the thing. We know Brock can be entertaining and fun at the same time. Like, who remembers the fucking Money in the Bank boombox? Like,
so fun.
It was in that moment, I think he finally won everybody over in terms of this guy can actually entertain.
It's going to be interesting to see once the Roman thing stops.
Yeah.
What is next? Because this one's the obvious one. Roman, Paul, it's the one we all wanted. It's the one we're getting. But what is the next step of this?
I think he goes away for a little bit and then he comes back. Probably Rumble.
He's on the Rumble poster. They announced it.
There you go.
Like two days ago.
Just for me,
big face.
Keep him out of the title picture. Bring him back to what he was when he came back.
Right.
Traction.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Where he had matches with Punk, where he had matches with Triple H. Like, bring that Brock.
Right. Why would he need the title in any way?
Yeah, he's one of those people at this point, like him, Charlotte Flair. I felt like this about Cena when he was in his run, where they've gotten to the point where they don't need the title. You're going to watch their match because they're good.
Correct. Yes. Brock has no need to be in the title picture. Hell, even when Roman loses this belt at some point, God, he might not even need to be back in the title picture because he's built this huge mystique about him now.
Yeah.
Like, what does he need a belt for anymore? Dominance. And he has it. And which is a whole nother show of talking about who's going to ever take the belt off this guy.
If it doesn't happen at Crown Jewel, it's going to be a long time.
Right now, if Roman doesn't do it, who does? Yeah. That's the question.
Yeah. And on that note, it's time to head home.
That's right.
Dustin, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Dustin Dubuque, and that's like I said, every week, movies, wrestling, Schmodown, and all the fun things on there. Retweeting things that Soda most of the time doesn't agree with about wrestling, which keeps us fun.
Oh, for sure.
How about you, sir?
You can find me on my personal Instagram and Twitter at soda_the_saxman. You can find me on every show on this channel. Let's see what I got coming up tomorrow night. Myself, Ben Rayner, and our special guest for the month, Jess, all the way from New Zealand. We're going to be reviewing Tucker and Dale versus Evil, the third of 4 horror movies that we are watching. We did Sleepwalkers first, and then we did Chopping Mall.
I've never seen Chopping Mall. Sleepwalkers.
I'll send it.
Awesome.
It's a movie. Chopping Mall is actually on YouTube. I'll send you the link afterwards.
Do it.
And then tomorrow night it's Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, and then next week is Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. And then after that is going to be the all-night taco stand where Taco, because he's trying to flip his sleep schedule, is going to do an all-nighter. A whole bunch of guests are going to be on. I'm going to be on at one point. Jess is going to be on at one point. All our friends from the sphere, like Chris Lopez, is going to be on. Probably Jay Wade. It's a cavalcade of guests, so definitely check that out. And then, our usual Schmodown content. Don't forget to also get sweaty in the weekend and recap in the past. We're currently recapping Doctor Who, the modern Doctor Who, because I don't have that much time. So that's pretty much where you can find me. So thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to like all the other things on this channel, Schmodown 9 Canada, Mount Schmodown, all that jazz. On behalf of Dustin and myself, we will see you next week. And don't forget, everyone, stay sweaty. I can remember at the broadcast. So long.